There's a subtle beauty in this absence of modern complexity. Without the constant hum of machinery or the glare of artificial lights, the world feels more tactile, more immediate. The textures of coarse wool against your skin, the cool sensation of flagstones beneath your bare feet, the earthy smell of damp soil after a light rain. These sensory experiences are not fleeting, but deeply integrated into your awareness. You learn to appreciate the subtle changes in light, the nuanced shifts in temperature, the varying pitches of the wind as it whispers through the trees. This morning ritual, though seemingly unremarkable, forms the bedrock of existence. It's a time when the world feels newly born, fresh and untainted. The gentle sounds of awakening, the comforting smells, the simple acts of preparation, all these elements conspire to create a profound sense of peace. These are the ambient sounds of medieval life, constant yet never intrusive, forming a gentle backdrop to your thoughts. Even the repetition itself becomes a form of meditation, a quiet centering. As you move through your morning, you might pass by neighbors, offering a quiet nod or a murmured greeting. There's a shared understanding in their eyes, a sense of collective experience. They too are embarking on their day with similar simple routines, similar quiet preparations. You notice the way they carry themselves, the worn fabric of their clothing, the subtle scents they carry from their own homes, perhaps the tang of aged cheese, or the faint sweet aroma of dried herbs. Every detail speaks of a life lived in close connection with the elements, where survival is a daily dance, and comfort is found in the familiar and the practical. You might gently rub your arms, feeling the smooth texture of your homespun tunic against your skin. There's a particular kind of dry cleanliness that medieval life offered, one born of constant exposure to fresh air and the simple practice of brushing away dust and loose debris. It's not the slick, perfumed cleanliness of our modern age, but a more earthy, elemental sort, connected deeply to the natural world around you. You might rise from your simple straw mattress, feeling the gentle give beneath your weight. Perhaps you reach for a pitcher of cool, fresh water that was drawn from the well last night, its surface still undisturbed by the morning's activities. You splash a little onto your face, feeling the crisp, invigorating sensation against your cheeks, a fleeting moment of pure, clean contact. The process of preparing for the day is unhurried. There's no frantic rush, no need to be on time in the way we understand it. Instead, each action flows into the next with a natural, unforced grace. You might tend to a small fire, watching the thin wisps of smoke curl upwards, feeling the gentle warmth radiating from the embers. The act of coaxing a flame to life, of preparing a simple meal. These are rituals performed with quiet reverence, each movement deliberate, each gesture a connection to the very essence of survival and comfort. This consistent, unhurried pace is a cornerstone of daily existence. The repetitive nature of chores, collecting kindling, kneading dough, mending tools creates a calming rhythm that permeates every hour. You might hear the steady thwack-thwack of an axe from the forest's edge, or the distant melodic call of a shepherd guiding his flock. The cold water wakes your senses, sharpening your perception of the subtle aromas in the air, the lingering wood smoke, the damp earth, the faint sweet scent of newly blossomed wildflowers from a nearby field as you step outside your humble dwelling. Your feet, accustomed to the uneven ground, find their familiar path. You observe the dew still clinging to the blades of grass, sparkling like tiny jewels in the faint light. The very air seems to carry a quiet hum of life, the buzzing of early bees, the distant bleating of a sheep. It's a world where every sensory detail is heightened, not because of a lack of distractions, but because the distractions themselves are simpler, more primal, allowing you to truly inhabit the moment. The cool, damp earth beneath your bare feet as you first step outside is a grounding sensation, connecting you directly to the dawn from somewhere nearby. Perhaps from a communal oven or a neighbor's hearth, there drifts the subtle, yeasty smell of bread rising in a stone oven, a warm, earthy aroma that hints at the simple sustenance of the day to come. It's a scent that grounds you, a reminder of the steady, unwavering pace of life. And as you stretch, feeling the stiffness of a night's rest slowly ease from your limbs, there's a very familiar sensation that washes over you. It's not a cause for alarm, not a source of discomfort, but simply a quiet observation you haven't bathed again. Yet, a curious sense of calm accompanies this realization, for you intuitively know that in this particular time and place, this feeling is shared by nearly everyone around you. No one else has indulged in the luxury of a full, warm soak either. There is no judgment here, only the quiet acceptance of the prevalent customs. This morning's stillness holds no urgency, no expectation of a rushed routine, as the sun, a pale disk in the misty sky, begins its slow ascent. You notice the gentle sounds of the village coming to life, a distant hammer striking metal, a soft, muffled chatter of voices, perhaps the lowing of cattle from a nearby pasture. These sounds are not jarring or intrusive, but rather woven into the fabric of the morning, each contributing to the peaceful tapestry of daily existence. You might hear the rustle of straw as someone stirs from their bed in a nearby cottage, or the rhythmic thump-thump of a mortar and pestle as herbs are ground for a morning brew. Every small sound, every faint scent, paints a picture of a life lived close to the earth, in harmony with its gentle rhythms. Your own body begins to feel the subtle coolness of the morning air, a refreshing contrast to the warmth of your sleeping place. There is no thought of a quick shower or a cleansing bath. Instead, the focus is on the small, immediate tasks, perhaps the drawing of water from a nearby well, the gentle stirring of a fire for warmth, or the quiet preparations for the day's labors. The air itself feels different, carrying the various scents of wood smoke, damp earth, and human presence, all blending into the unique, lived atmosphere of the medieval world. It's a world where cleanliness, as we understand it today, was approached through different lenses with different priorities and with a quiet ingenuity born of necessity. You are simply a part of this unfolding morning, a gentle observer, allowing the simple details to wash over you, preparing your mind for the quiet unfolding of our story. You might draw your favorite blanket around you, feeling its familiar weight settle gently over your shoulders, cocooning you in warmth and security. Allow yourself to sink deeper, to feel the support beneath you, as we begin this peculiar yet surprisingly tranquil tale. Now, let's allow our minds to gently settle into the rhythm of a quiet medieval village. The specific year isn't important. Let's simply imagine a time long, long before the convenience of indoor plumbing graced every home. Long before the gentle exfoliation of apricot kernel scrubs was a common morning ritual. You are there, in this ancient dawn, feeling the subtle stirrings of a new day. You begin to awaken to the soft, rhythmic clucking of chickens just beyond your window, a sound as old as time itself, a gentle, comforting punctuation mark in the morning quiet. There will be no grand climaxes or dramatic revelations here, only the steady rhythm of unfolding history, like the slow turning of pages in an ancient illuminated manuscript. Our aim is simply to create a calm, even flow, a gentle current to carry you toward rest, allowing your mind to quiet, your body to relax, and your breath to deepen, guiding you softly into a peaceful sleep. If you find yourself drawn to these quiet tales from the past, these gentle drifts through history that help to soothe the mind and prepare the body for slumber, Consider allowing these stories to become a regular companion on your journey to rest. And now, as the world outside begins to hush, you can find your most comfortable spot. Perhaps you'll fluff your pillow just so, feeling the soft yielding of the fabric beneath your head. But for many during the medieval period, the very idea of submerging oneself in warm water was met with a deep-seated unease. Seeing it through a different lens than we do today, they approached the concept of cleanliness with a cautious skepticism, finding their comfort in routines far removed from our familiar tubs and showers. Tonight, we'll gently unravel the threads of this historical puzzle, exploring the quiet reasons why bathing became a source of suspicion, what people chose to do instead of washing, and how society slowly, quite literally, adjusted its approach to hygiene. We'll meander through the forgotten corners of daily life, observing the small, repetitive actions and sensory details that shaped their understanding of cleanliness. Hello, and welcome. As the gentle whispers of the evening begin to settle around us, we're embarking on a peculiar journey, a quiet voyage back in time to a world that might seem both familiar and strikingly foreign. Imagine, if you will, a land of flickering candlelight, where castles stand sentinel against the twilight, and narrow, winding streets often lie cloaked in mud. It's a place where the sounds of daily life echo softly, a distant church bell perhaps, or the rhythmic creak of a water wheel. And within this landscape, there existed a surprising, almost whispered, apprehension about something we now consider so utterly commonplace: water. More specifically, the gentle act of bathing. Yes, in our modern world, the thought of a warm, steamy soak, perhaps with fragrant bubbles and soothing oils, is often a cherished escape, a moment of tranquil indulgence after a long day. The pace is set by the rising sun, by the hunger for a simple meal, by the slow warming of the air. It's a pace that allows for contemplation, for quiet observation, for the simple act of being present. So, as you continue to breathe deeply and evenly, allowing the soft sounds and gentle scents to wash over you, feel yourself sinking further into this historical moment. The concerns of your own time begin to recede, replaced by the comforting, steady rhythm of this ancient world. You are safe, you are warm, and you are utterly at peace. This is the quiet invitation to rest, to let go, and to allow the gentle current of this story to carry you softly into the depths of a restorative sleep. As you continue to stand, or perhaps to gently walk along the path, you feel the earth beneath your feet, a solid grounding connection. You are part of this landscape, intimately woven into its fabric. The faint scent of damp soil, disturbed by a passing cart or a foraging animal, rises gently, mingling with the other aromas of the village. It's a scent that evokes growth, renewal, and the cyclical nature of life itself. This deep immersion in the sensory details of the medieval morning creates a tapestry of tranquility. There's a certain peace in knowing that these daily rituals, these simple actions, have been performed by countless generations before you, a timeless continuity that stretches back through the ages. You are participating in a quiet history, not just observing it. This is a morning free from the demands of artificial schedules, dictated instead by the gradual brightening of the sky and the natural needs of the body. The rhythm of their tasks, the murmur of their voices, the sounds of their small domestic activities, all weave together into a harmonious, soothing hum. There is no urgency, no external pressure demanding a frantic pace. Instead, there is simply the steady, unfolding present, rich with its simple, consistent details. You might take a slow, deep breath, allowing the cool, clean air to fill your lungs. The very act of breathing becomes a conscious, calming experience. You feel your chest expand gently, then slowly contract, releasing any lingering traces of sleep or tension. This mindful breathing helps to anchor you in the now, drawing your awareness away from any wandering thoughts and back to the peaceful reality of this medieval morning. Consider the gentle, persistent sound of water in the village, not the gushing flow of modern pipes, but the slower, more deliberate sounds, the creak of a well rope as a bucket descends, the soft plop as it hits the water, the gentle drip-drip as the bucket is raised, brimming with cold, clear liquid. These are sounds of sustenance, of life-giving resources being carefully managed and appreciated. They are not rushed or noisy, but rather an integral part of the quiet daily symphony. Even the objects around you contribute to this sense of calm. The rough, textured stone of a wall, cool to the touch, the smooth, worn wood of a bucket handle, shaped by countless hands, the soft, dusty fibers of a sack leaning against a doorway. Each object has a history, a purpose, a tactile presence that speaks of a simpler time, when things were made to last, and every possession was valued. The aroma of wood smoke, carried on the gentle currents of the air, becomes a more prominent, comforting presence. It speaks of hearths being lit, of warmth spreading through homes, of the simple act of preparing for the day's first shared meal. You might imagine the faint glow of embers, the soft crackle of kindling catching fire, and the steady, patient rhythm of someone stoking the flames. It's a sensory experience that grounds you firmly in this moment, connecting you to the heart of the medieval home. The sense of a shared existence is palpable. You are not alone in your quiet morning rituals. Everyone around you is participating in a similar unwritten choreography of daily life. Perhaps you notice a spider web, finely spun, glistening with tiny dewdrops in the corner of the doorway, a testament to the intricate, hidden life that thrives even in the simplest of homes. The delicate threads, almost invisible, sway gently in the imperceptible breath of the morning breeze. It's a small, perfect detail that invites your gaze to linger, to appreciate the quiet artistry of nature. As you step out into the open, the ground beneath your feet feels firm and cool. You might hear the soft scuff of a neighbor's wooden shoes on the packed earth pathway, a sound that is both familiar and reassuring. The village itself seems to breathe with a collective, tranquil sigh, exhaling the quiet slumber of the night and inhaling the gentle energy of a new day. Children, not yet boisterous, might be seen helping with small chores, their movements quiet and deliberate, mirroring the adult world around them. The faint scent of damp earth underfoot rises subtly with each step. You are an integral part of this quiet unfolding, a single thread in the vast, intricate tapestry of medieval life. And as you breathe in the cool, crisp air, you can feel your own breath deepen, slowing to match the gentle, unhurried pace of the world around you. This is a moment of pure, unadulterated calm, a silent invitation to let your body relax, your thoughts drift, and your consciousness gently ease into the quiet flow of the story. You might pause for a moment by the open doorway, observing the sunlight as it begins to spill over the thatched roofs, painting the scene in soft, muted golds and browns. The air is still cool, carrying the promise of a warmer day. But for now, the gentle crispness is a comforting embrace. The sound of a distant cowbell clinking rhythmically, almost like a lullaby, drifts over the fields. It reminds you of the deep connection between the people and the land, a bond of mutual reliance and quiet understanding. Then imagine the gentle action of brushing or shaking it off, perhaps with a soft, natural bristle brush or a piece of cloth, carrying away impurities and leaving behind a subtle, almost imperceptible film of freshness. While certainly not a deep cleanse by our contemporary standards, these methods were remarkably effective at mitigating body odor, absorbing excess oils and imparting a tangible sense of renewed vigor. Herbs like dried sage, known for its astringent properties, pungent rosemary, or refreshing mint were highly prized not only for their strong aromatic qualities, but also for their believed mild antiseptic and purifying properties, further enhancing this dry cleansing. The faint, earthy, and often medicinal scent of these powders would subtly mingle with the natural aromas of the home, creating a unique and characteristic olfactory signature. Furthermore, clothing played an extraordinarily crucial role in maintaining a sense of personal cleanliness, often taking precedence over the direct washing of the body. Rather than relying on frequent bathing, people diligently and regularly changed their inner layers of clothing, those close-fitting garments that directly touched the skin. You can almost feel the satisfying contrast of shedding a heavy, perhaps slightly damp from exertion, wool outer tunic worn throughout the day, and then slipping into a freshly laundered, cool, and dry linen undergarment. This frequent changing of inner layers, which were often made from linen or hemp, created an essential physical barrier between the skin and external grime, while simultaneously absorbing sweat, body oils, and shedding skin cells. Their approach shifted from the concept of submersion to a meticulous focus on surface cleaning and the diligent maintenance of their clothing and immediate surroundings. This wasn't a lack of desire for cleanliness, but a clever redefinition of what clean meant, tailored to their environment and understanding. You can vividly imagine the scene unfolding before you, a homemaker in her rustic cottage, the simple, earthy walls of her home surrounding her, entirely devoid of modern plumbing. She is meticulously carrying out her daily ritual of personal freshness. This often involved the practiced, almost meditative motion of dry rubbing the body with clean linen cloths and fragrant herbs. Feel the coarse, yet satisfying texture of a dry cloth, perhaps infused with finely ground, dried lavender or rose petals, gently abrading the skin. This would leave behind a subtle, earthy fragrance and a surprising sensation of refreshment, as dust and superficial grime were whisked away. An insightful household guide from that distant era might have advised, take a fresh linen cloth, well aired, and rub the skin briskly to remove the day's accumulated dust and invigorate the humors. This simple act was a daily purification, an intimate connection with natural elements. And their ingenuity didn't stop at mere cloths. They often employed fine sands, sieved ashes from their hearths, and various finely ground herbal powders as rudimentary, yet effective absorbents to draw out excess oils and loose dirt from both skin and hair. Picture the delicate sensation of a fine, dry powder, perhaps made from ground valerian root, fragrant orris root, or dried cypress wood, being lightly dusted onto your hair or exposed skin. It was thought to draw focus away from spiritual contemplation and towards worldly, carnal pleasures, thus weakening the soul. In a society where religious doctrine profoundly shaped daily existence, from the rhythm of the day to the conduct of life, this notion added another layer to the general societal reluctance towards frequent, full-body immersion. The Church, while not explicitly forbidding bathing, often implicitly promoted asceticism and a focus on internal spiritual purity over what we would consider physical cleanliness. This subtle undercurrent contributed to a complex cultural landscape where cleanliness was perceived more as an internal moral state rather than a purely physical one. With such deep-seated apprehension towards full immersion in water and the prevailing health concerns of the era, medieval people, driven by necessity and ingenuity, developed a remarkably diverse and highly practical array of alternative cleaning methods. You can almost feel the dense, oppressive weight of uncertainty that must have permeated daily life, the constant awareness that invisible threats could suddenly materialize, bringing swift devastation. This collective trauma deeply embedded itself into the societal consciousness, solidifying the belief that maintaining the body's integrity by keeping its pores closed was a vital form of self-preservation, an instinctive shield against the unseen, pervasive darkness. Furthermore, a subtle yet influential spiritual dimension sometimes colored their views on bathing. Certain prevailing religious beliefs suggested that excessive personal cleanliness, or indeed any form of overt self-indulgence, could be construed as a form of vanity or even a sinful distraction. Moreover, the widespread anxiety concerning corrupted air and disease was further amplified by harrowing, shared experiences that etched themselves into the collective memory. The Black Death, for instance, decimated European populations with unimaginable cruelty, leaving an indelible mark on the societal psyche for generations. In the profound absence of germ theory or microbiological understanding, attributing these widespread ravages to miasmas, noxious air emanating from decaying matter, stagnant water, or even the exhaled breath of the sick was a logical, albeit terrifying, conclusion. What we now understand to be the proliferation of microbes in close quarters. They, in their desperate search for explanations, interpreted as direct evidence that the very act of allowing water to touch too much of the body opened the gates for disease. Imagine the pervasive, heavy atmosphere of collective anxiety that must have lingered, a constant low-level awareness that unseen threats lurked in the very environment. And water, ironically, was seen as a treacherous accomplice. The very air, they believed, could carry these invisible threats. And an open body was a fatally vulnerable one, inviting sickness rather than repelling it indeed. Medical treatises from that era, such as the revered translated works of Galen or later Arabic medical texts widely studied in European universities, frequently cautioned about the potential dangers of excessive bathing, especially with warm water. These authoritative guides would meticulously detail the supposed pathways of illness, reinforcing the fear. They might have observed a harrowing correlation between crowded public spaces, such as communal bathhouses which did exist, but often served more as social hubs than places for rigorous cleansing, and sometimes carried a notorious reputation and the rapid spread of illness. Within this ancient framework of knowledge, warm water, and particularly the act of full immersion, was widely believed to open the pores of the skin. You can almost visualize the sensation your skin, normally a protective barrier, suddenly feeling permeable, porous. When these pores were opened, as the common belief held, the body became acutely susceptible to external threats. Picture, if you will, the sensation of a fortified wall developing unseen cracks, allowing unwanted intruders what they termed miasmas or pestilences, malevolent vapors that brought disease to seep in effortlessly. This wasn't some fleeting, imagined fear. It was a profound, tangible anxiety, born from observations and interpretations of devastating plagues that swept through populations with terrifying speed. Their true cause is utterly beyond comprehension. As you continue to breathe deeply and evenly, let your mind gently drift towards an aspect of medieval life that, though less tangible than muddy streets or clucking chickens, deeply influenced their attitudes towards bathing, their understanding of medicine, and the pervasive beliefs, sometimes superstitious, surrounding water and the human body. Unlike our modern world, where scientific clarity illuminates many mysteries, the medical landscape of the Middle Ages was intricately woven from complex theories about humors, the four fundamental bodily fluids: blood amnuth, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. The prevailing conviction was that a delicate balance of these humors dictated a person's health and well-being, and any external influence, such as water, could disrupt this precarious internal harmony. As you continue to listen, allow these detailed images of medieval cleanliness to softly unfurl and expand within your mind. Feel the profound ingenuity, the pragmatic adaptation, and the surprising resourcefulness in how people in the Middle Ages approached hygiene, not by fighting against the limitations of their natural world, but by working in profound harmony with it. Their methods, though strikingly different from our own, hold a unique beauty, a harmonious and deeply integrated adaptation to the world they so intimately inhabited. And now, let these gentle historical insights subtly dissipate, like a wisp of fragrant smoke, feeling your body sink deeper into relaxation, preparing you for a peaceful and deeply restorative sleep. There were even more unique methods, perhaps unusual to our modern sensibilities, such as the strategic use of smoke from aromatic woods or specific incense blends to purify the body and clothing. Picture yourself standing gently within a light, fragrant plume of smoke, perhaps from burning frankincense or myrrh, feeling a subtle warmth and the distinct sensation that unwanted elements, both physical and unseen, are being gently lifted away and dissipated by the ethereal currents of the smoke. It was a ritualistic cleansing, focusing on the unseen, believed to purify both body and spirit, leaving a subtle, lingering aroma that was considered both pleasant and protective. Fragrance, both natural and derived from meticulously cultivated botanicals, held significant importance in medieval life, not just for masking unpleasant odors, but also as a direct means of warding off those dreaded miasmas. You can imagine small, meticulously crafted sachets filled with carefully dried herbs, perhaps fragrant lavender, potent rosemary, or soothing chamomile discreetly tucked into clothing, or fragrant bunches of aromatic herbs like sweet marjoram or pungent mint artfully hung from rafters in homes and workshops. The robust, purifying aroma of pine or juniper wood burning steadily in the hearth also contributed to a general sense of air purification, believed to counteract any stagnant or unhealthy air that might otherwise settle. Rivers and streams, on the other hand, were primarily utilized for the crucial task of laundering clothes, a familiar sight and sound of numerous figures methodically beating fabrics against smooth river stones, the gentle lapping of water against the banks. Feel the invigorating coolness of the clear, flowing water on your hands as you imagine plunging fabrics into it. And then the fresh, clean scent of cloth drying in the sunlight, infused with the pure, circulating air. It was a highly practical and resource-efficient method of staying relatively fresh, perfectly suited to the rhythm of medieval daily life, where clean water was often a precious commodity primarily reserved for drinking, cooking, and specific ritualistic uses. And as you continue to visualize the sprawling, bustling medieval village, you might notice the lingering presence of public bathhouses, often called stews or bagnios, and natural waterways, places that, while certainly present, were used with a different intention and often a certain caution. Quite unlike our modern conception of bathing, public bathhouses were, for many, more social hubs than meticulous cleansing stations. They were places for communal warmth, conversation, barber services, and sometimes even less savory activities, particularly for those of higher status. The shift was more akin to the slow, relentless turning of a massive ancient mill wheel, imperceptible in its initial movements, then gradually, almost imperceptibly, gaining a steady, undeniable momentum over generations. It was a powerful testament to the enduring strength of deeply ingrained cultural habits and the tenacious roots of popular belief, requiring immense time and persistent effort for true transformation. Yet the seeds had indeed been sown, quietly, patiently awaiting their time to truly flourish and redefine what cleanliness meant. As you allow these vast historical shifts to gently settle, Feel the immense vastness of time stretching both behind and before you. A continuous unfolding narrative of human experience. The story of medieval hygiene is not just about dirt or cleanliness in a superficial sense, but about profound human adaptation. The agonizingly slow progression of scientific understanding, and the beautiful, often messy unfolding of societal norms over centuries. Your mind feels calm, your body profoundly at ease, as you journey deeper into this rich historical narrative, letting each detail softly guide you towards profound, unwavering rest. A sense of deep peacefulness settling over your entire being. As you continue to float gently in this historical reverie, allow your awareness to subtly broaden, encompassing the intricate social and economic tapestry that also profoundly influenced medieval hygiene. Cleanliness, as it was understood and meticulously practiced, was not a universal standard, but rather a nuanced reflection of one's place within the societal hierarchy. Deeply intertwined with both personal wealth and the stark daily necessities of survival. It served as a silent, yet powerfully discernible language, subtly communicating status, privilege, and access in a world characterized by rigid social stratification and pronounced disparities. The very sense that permeated one's personal space, the specific texture of the garments worn, and the distinct, often elaborate rituals of daily purification all spoke volumes about one's standing within this highly structured society. Consider for a moment the stark, almost unimaginable contrast between the opulent, albeit often rugged lives of the nobility and the demanding, unrelenting existence of the common folk. Imagine yourself transported, not abruptly, but gently to a grand, formidable castle, its ancient stone walls exuding a sense of enduring power. Picture yourself perhaps within the well-appointed, albeit often drafty and vast, chambers of a powerful lord or a distinguished lady. Here, within these imposing fortified walls, the pursuit of personal freshness took on a distinctly different, far more elaborate, and often ritualistic form, less about full immersion and more about fragrant application and superficial perfection. This seemingly small, yet profoundly significant. Daily indulgence was a clear mark of distinction, a quiet yet undeniable affirmation of elevated status. These practices were typically not full, submerged baths, which were rare and often viewed with suspicion. Instead, they were extensive. Fragrant washes focused primarily on visibly exposed areas like the face, hands, and neck, meant far more for presentation, comfort, and the impression of refinement than for any deep, unseen cleansing of the entire body. The lingering scent of rosewater and clean linen was a deliberate statement. For the nobility, fragrant oils, rich pomades, and exotic perfumes were an utterly essential and conspicuously consumed part of their personal upkeep, worn as much for status as for scent, creating an invisible aura of luxury. Picture a small, intricately carved wooden box, perhaps fashioned from rare, dark ebony wood, inlaid with shimmering mother-of-pearl or delicate filigrees of precious metals. The wealthy, possessing both vast material resources and an eager retinue of dedicated servants, could afford the coveted luxury of having water brought directly to them, not merely any water, but perhaps carefully heated water, meticulously carried in heavy, gleaming copper or polished silver buckets from a nearby well or stream, and often delicately fragranced with precious herbs like freshly crushed rosemary or exquisitely dried rose petals, or even infused with rarer, imported spices such as warming cinnamon or pungent cloves obtained through distant exclusive trade routes that spanned continents. You can almost feel the smooth, cool surface of a finely crafted porcelain or polished silver basin as a dedicated servant carefully pours a gentle, continuous stream of this warm, delicately scented water over your outstretched hands, allowing you to meticulously rinse your face and other exposed skin. Its delicate lid slowly opens with a soft, almost imperceptible click, revealing tiny, exquisitely crafted phials of potent, sweet-smelling oils, perhaps rare musk derived from distant, exotic lands like the Orient, precious ambergris collected from the vast, mysterious ocean, or finely distilled flower essences from the sun-drenched south of France, each one a testament to boundless luxury, far-reaching trade, and sophisticated refinement. You can almost sense the rich, heady, and complex aroma as a single, precious drop is applied to the pulse points at the wrist or neck, behind the ears, or delicately rubbed into the hair, leaving a lingering, almost hypnotic, captivating trail that subtly announced their presence long before they were seen. This deliberate, artful use of scent, often reapplied throughout the day, was a far cry from simply dry rubbing with common locally grown herbs. It was an active, opulent construction of an elevated sensory experience, a constant, pervasive declaration of their aristocratic presence and refined taste. This was a statement of power, subtlety, and distance. Now contrast this stark reality with the harsh, undeniable economic realities faced by the vast majority of the population. The hard-working peasants and pragmatic townspeople you encountered earlier in our narrative, whose lives were dictated by the rhythm of the earth and the unforgiving seasons. For them, water was a supremely precious commodity, its availability often dictated by the nearest communal well, the flowing, often muddy river, or the labor-intensive communal pump, frequently located a significant distance from their humble dwellings. These exquisite fragrances were not merely about crudely masking unpleasant odors, a task often left to stronger fumigations. They were potent, unmistakable symbols of immense wealth, undeniable indicators of privileged access to exclusive trade routes, and a sophisticated means to convey an aura of exquisite refinement and undeniable distinction, setting them miles apart from the common populace. The stronger, more complex, and more persistent the perfume, the more effective it was at creating a personal olfactory space, a fragrant, invisible barrier against the often overpowering and sometimes offensive smells of the wider, less privileged world that lay beyond their castle walls and manicured gardens. Imagine the sheer physical effort involved in the daily, often repetitive act of obtaining water, the heavy wooden or clay buckets, often awkwardly balanced, the long, often arduous walk along uneven, sometimes treacherous, muddy paths to the well, and the arduous, repetitive task of drawing water, often many times a day, hauling it back for their family's fundamental needs, drinking, cooking, and limited washing. Every precious drop was meticulously valued and carefully conserved, its primary non-negotiable uses being for hydration, for the preparation of simple, nourishing meals that sustained life, and for the essential, if rudimentary washing of vital garments that kept them clothed and protected from the elements. The very idea of using such a painstakingly obtained and life-sustaining resource for something as seemingly extravagant as a full, immersive bath would have been utterly unthinkable, perceived as a reckless, almost sacrilegious, squandering of a life-sustaining element that could literally mean the difference between health and hardship. Moreover, the cost of soap, when it was even available for purchase, was almost universally prohibitive for most of the population. Early soaps were often crude concoctions, typically made from rendered animal fats obtained from butchery and lye, a highly caustic mixture derived from wood ash. This laborious production required specific knowledge, considerable effort, and access to raw resources that were simply beyond the reach of the average household, who struggled merely to feed and shelter themselves. This deep-seated economic reality also extended profoundly to personal items of hygiene and, most notably, clothing. while a noble might boast multiple sets of finely woven linen tunics, shimmering silks, and luxurious woolens, each meticulously cared for by an entourage of servants and stored in cedar chests to ward off moths. A peasant often possessed only one or two changes of basic, hard-wearing clothing, diligently mended, patched, and carefully preserved through years of continuous wear. The very act of changing garments, therefore, became a central and indispensable pillar of their personal cleanliness strategy, acting as a functional substitute for regular full-body bathing. Imagine carefully hanging a worn tunic out to air, perhaps on a crude line exposed to the strong sun and brisk wind, allowing the fresh breeze to carry away any lingering odors or dampness, and then slipping into a freshly beaten, if not perfectly clean inner layer of basic cloth. These were the constant daily acts of resourcefulness and quiet ingenuity, the small, quiet, yet persistent battles against discomfort and visible dirt that defined their humble, hard-working lives. The subtle scent of sun-dried fabric, even without modern detergents or softeners, carried its own unique, elemental sense of freshness, a simple comfort in its profound simplicity. As you continue to breathe softly, let these intricate distinctions settle deeply within you. There's a profound recognition of how external circumstances profoundly shape human behavior, how social strata influenced even the most intimate aspects of daily life, creating vastly different experiences of cleanliness across the same historical period. Imagine the harsh, alkaline feel and raw, earthy, sometimes acrid scent of such a crude soap, far removed from the gentle, fragrant, and industrially produced lather we know today. Therefore, its use was largely confined to laundry, if available at all, and certainly not for daily personal washing by the masses. This profound economic barrier compelled reliance on the simpler, more accessible, and virtually free methods we explored earlier. The diligent dry cloths, the cleansing properties of ashes, and the ubiquitous common herbs found in any field or forest. You can almost feel the rough, unyielding texture of coarse, unrefined linen against your skin, knowing it was washed not with expensive or scarce soap, but perhaps with handfuls of natural wood ash rubbed vigorously and strong, tiring scrubbing against rough stones in the cold, fast-flowing river water, a testament to their enduring hardiness and resourceful spirit. The air around you feels calm and clear, your thoughts quiet, as you absorb this nuanced, multifaceted understanding of medieval cleanliness, allowing it to deepen your journey towards rest. Each detail a gentle current carrying you further into slumber, a sense of quiet contentment settling over your entire being. As you continue to float, your awareness expanding gently across the vast expanse of time. Let's now consider how these deeply ingrained practices and long-held beliefs subtly began to shift and evolve over the centuries. The medieval period, vast and complex as it was, spanning nearly a millennium, was far from static. Within its long embrace, small, almost imperceptible changes, driven by evolving knowledge, burgeoning cultural exchange, and perhaps a gradual collective reevaluation of what constituted public health, quietly laid the groundwork for what would eventually blossom into our modern understanding of hygiene. This was not a sudden, dramatic revolution, no abrupt societal upheaval or immediate paradigm shift that swept away old ways. Rather, it was a slow, almost glacial process, akin to the imperceptible erosion of a massive riverbank over countless seasons, steadily reshaping the landscape one tiny grain of sand at a time, its profound effects only truly visible across generations, a testament to the inertia of deep-seated custom. One of the earliest and most significant drivers of this slow, evolutionary change came directly from the medical advancements slowly emerging from the intellectual fervor of the Renaissance. as scholarship experienced a profound revival. Particularly influenced by the diligent rediscovery of classical Greek and Roman texts long lost to Western Europe but critically preserved and elaborated upon in the vibrant Islamic world, and the vibrant, productive intellectual exchange with sophisticated Islamic scholars. A more nuanced and empirical understanding of anatomy, physiology, and the very functions of the human body began to cautiously emerge. You can almost visualize learned scholars, their faces illuminated by the flickering, unsteady light of candles or oil lamps in quiet, dusty scriptoriums, poring over ancient manuscripts, their minds alight with new questions and challenges to long-held, unquestioned beliefs about the humors and disease. As urban populations grew denser and more concentrated, the sheer, undeniable accumulation of human and animal waste became an overwhelming and unavoidable problem, creating noxious odors, visible blight, and undeniable breeding grounds for disease. Imagine the narrow, winding, unpaved streets you saw earlier, now envisioned as choked with refuse, overflowing cesspits, and streams of wastewater running openly. This increasingly urgent problem spurred early, often localized, attempts at basic waste management, the digging of deeper cesspits, the construction of rudimentary drainage ditches along roadsides, and the occasional hesitant attempts at communal street sweeping, often enforced by local ordinances. While these initial efforts were primarily aimed at reducing overwhelming stench and mitigating the most visible and offensive filth, they inadvertently, yet significantly, improved public health by reducing breeding grounds for disease-carrying vermin and bacteria. While the groundbreaking concept of germ theory was still many centuries away, there was a nascent, dawning recognition that some diseases might be intrinsically linked to poor sanitation and stagnant, unhealthy conditions, rather than solely to nebulous miasmas entering open pores. This was a subtle but absolutely crucial conceptual shift from a deeply ingrained fear of the water itself to a nascent, dawning understanding of what the water might contain, or where stagnant, polluted water might collect, fostering illness. This recognition, even in its earliest but most rudimentary form, was a powerful seed of profound future change, quietly taking root in the fertile ground of intellectual curiosity and empirical observation. The gradual rise of public health initiatives in burgeoning towns and cities, though undeniably rudimentary and often inefficient by today's sophisticated standards, also played a quiet yet persistent role. This growing communal awareness of collective waste implicitly highlighted the dire need for better personal waste disposal and a more generalized cleanliness, even if direct, full-body bathing wasn't yet perceived as the primary solution for the masses. You can almost smell the subtle, gradual shifts in the very air as these early collective efforts, driven by dire necessity, began to take tenuous yet persistent root in the urban fabric. Cultural exchange, particularly through expanded trade routes and increased travel to eastern lands, served as another powerful catalyst, gently introducing new perspectives and alternative practices of hygiene to a Europe largely isolated from such customs. Travelers, adventurous merchants, and even returning crusaders from the sophisticated Byzantine Empire or the intellectually vibrant Islamic world often encountered cultures where public baths, or hammams, were still thriving. Central institutions, not merely places of basic cleanliness, but vibrant hubs of social interaction, relaxation, and even intellectual discourse. Imagine a European merchant, accustomed to his daily dry rubs and herbal scents, stepping tentatively into a grand, echoing Ottoman hammam, instantly enveloped by the thick, moist warmth of steam and the soothing sound of splashing water, observing locals engaging in vigorous, thorough, and highly ritualized cleansing rituals. These profound sensory experiences, often a shocking contrast to their familiar routines, though perhaps initially met with skepticism or even mild shock, slowly but surely began to introduce different ideals of cleanliness and personal care into the broader European consciousness. The increasing availability of fresh water in some urban centers, often channeled through rudimentary but increasingly effective piping systems from distant, cleaner sources, significantly eased the laborious burden of water collection, making larger quantities of water more accessible for personal use within homes or communal washing areas. You can almost hear the faint rhythmic sound of newly installed pipes, a soft, almost hopeful gurgle, promising a future of easier, more direct access to life-giving water within more and more homes. A quiet revolution in daily comfort. However, it is crucial to remember that these changes were slow and fragmented, by no means universal or uniform. For many more centuries, the old habits, the deep-seated fears, and the practical limitations persisted, especially among the vast rural populations who remained largely untouched by scholarly debates or burgeoning urban innovations. They offered compelling alternative models, subtly suggesting that water could, in fact, be a source of invigoration, soothing comfort, and even profound purity, rather than solely a treacherous conduit for disease and vulnerability. Furthermore, the very structure and pace of daily life subtly began to change as the medieval period progressed towards the early modern era. As societies became increasingly complex, moving away from a purely agrarian and localized existence, new forms of work, more varied social interactions, and embryonic urban development emerged, altering the demands on individuals. The slow advent of slightly more comfortable and sophisticated living conditions for certain segments of the population, coupled with a very gradual increase in available resources and a burgeoning understanding of urban planning and infrastructure, slowly chipped away at the strict practicalities and deep-seated fears that had previously limited the practice of bathing. Suddenly, the centuries-old resistance to water-based cleansing, born from fear and practicality, began to rapidly dissipate, replaced by an enthusiastic, almost zealous embrace of regular bathing as a cornerstone of health. Picture the burgeoning industrial cities of the 19th century, now seeing the massive, uncoordinated construction of elaborate, centralized water supply systems and the gradual, transformative installation of indoor plumbing within homes, moving beyond communal pumps. You can almost hear the steady, soothing flow of clean, fresh water through newly laid iron pipes, a quiet symphony of progress and comfort that was previously unimaginable. As you draw a final, soft breath, allow the intricate, unfolding tapestry of history, from ancient fears and superstitions to groundbreaking modern science, to settle gently and peacefully within your mind. The journey through medieval hygiene has revealed not just old ways of life, but the timeless and unwavering human drive to understand, to adapt, and to seek comfort and well-being in a complex, ever-changing world. Feel your body sinking deeper, ever deeper, into profound relaxation. Each historical insight a soft, comforting lullaby, preparing you now for a truly peaceful and deeply restorative sleep. Let all remaining thoughts, all lingering concerns, now gently drift away, leaving only quiet tranquility and a sense of timeless peace within your being. As you continue to gently drift through the vast, echoing annals of time, your mind softened and receptive to the unfolding narrative, allow your awareness now to settle upon a fascinating, yet often overlooked, development that signaled a profound underlying shift in personal hygiene practices. The gradual emergence of dedicated changing rooms and more private washing spaces. This was not an overnight revolution, a sudden dramatic transformation of daily habits that swept across the continent. Instead, it was a subtle, yet persistent evolution, a quiet testament to a changing understanding of modesty, the increasing value placed on personal privacy, and a fundamentally new perception of the very act of personal cleansing itself. Imagine, if you will, the bustling, often communal and remarkably open spaces of earlier centuries, the shared sleeping areas, the large common halls where daily life unfolded in full view, with little separation between activity and repose, and then feel the distinct, almost palpable shift towards enclosed individual areas, however small or simple they might have been. This movement towards greater privacy was, in its own quiet way, a rebellion against centuries of collective living, a burgeoning desire for personal boundaries in an increasingly crowded world. Initially, these nascent changing rooms were far from the elaborate, tiled, and fully plumbed spaces we envision in a modern home, complete with running water and gleaming fixtures. For the nobility, the wealthy elite who often resided in grand sprawling castles or meticulously maintained manor houses, these private spaces might have taken the form of a private antechamber, a small room leading off a larger bedchamber, or simply a meticulously partitioned section within that larger sleeping or dressing area, deliberately screened off by heavy, richly woven tapestries adorned with heraldic crests or intricate scenes, or by finely carved wooden screens inlaid with precious materials. You can almost feel the thick, cool, and somewhat coarse texture of a woven tapestry as it falls heavily, muffling sounds and creating an intimate, secluded space, a personal sanctuary within the often public domain of the castle, away from prying eyes and the constant bustle of servants. Within these discreet enclosures, a finely wrought basin, perhaps crafted from polished silver or gleaming brass, often exquisitely engraved, and a matching ewer of warm, delicately scented water would be arranged, often with a fresh stack of finely laundered linens and soft, absorbent cloths neatly folded nearby, ready for use. This meticulous arrangement allowed for a more thorough, unhurried, and intimate wash, focusing on more than just the visibly exposed areas of the face and hands. A well-preserved household inventory from a 15th century English manor, a document detailing every single item within the Lord's chambers, might specifically list washing paraphernalia to be kept within these private areas, indicating their growing importance and distinction from common practice. The very act of cleansing for the elite shifted from a quick, exposed rub to a more deliberate, personal ritual, often still gracefully aided by dedicated servants who would bring and remove water, but with a significantly increased emphasis on privacy during the actual washing itself. This was hygiene becoming a private performance of status, an understated yet powerful declaration of one's elevated standing. For the less affluent, particularly in the burgeoning urban centers where populations grew denser, streets narrowed, and living space became an increasingly precious commodity, the development of these private spaces was far more modest in scale but equally significant in its symbolic shift. It might have involved the designation of a specific, perhaps cramped corner within a humble dwelling, perhaps behind a simple curtain or a temporary screen made of woven straw or coarse, undyed cloth. This reflected a subtle yet powerful societal shift. Cleanliness was slowly but surely becoming a more personal responsibility, enacted in a more private, almost sacred sphere, a quiet acknowledgement of the individual's dignity. This increasing emphasis on privacy and personal hygiene coincided directly with a gradual, almost imperceptible, yet profound shift in both medical understanding and societal comfort with the use of water for cleansing. As the centuries progressed, particularly from the late medieval period into the Renaissance, the deep-seated fears of miasmas, the noxious, disease-carrying vapors believed to emanate from decay, and the concept of open pores that made one vulnerable to illness began to slowly, cautiously recede from the forefront of medical thought. This crucial intellectual shift was primarily influenced by the burgeoning scientific inquiry of the Renaissance, which vigorously questioned ancient doctrines and emphasized empirical observation, and later by the Enlightenment, which emphasized reason and systematic evidence. Water was increasingly viewed not as a potential threat, a dangerous conduit for disease that could seep into the body through the skin, but rather as a potential source of refreshment, purification, and genuine cleansing. The very sensory experience of water itself began to be reevaluated, transforming from a source of inherent anxiety to a source of comfort and invigoration. Imagine the feeling of a cool, clean stream of water trickling over your hands, no longer a source of inherent danger or superstitious dread, but a truly refreshing sensation, invigorating the skin and purifying the spirit. Treatises on health, etiquette, and domestic management from the 16th and 17th centuries, for example, might begin to cautiously advocate for more regular washing of the hands and face, a small but significant step towards a greater water-based cleanliness that would eventually spread throughout society. This intellectual reevaluation of water's role laid the groundwork for future, more widespread advancements in personal hygiene. Moreover, the evolution of clothing materials and production also played a silent but critically important role in this profound shift towards more direct bodily hygiene and greater personal comfort. As inner garments, the layers worn closest to the skin, acting as a barrier, became easier to produce, more affordable, and more widely available due to nascent industrialization and improved textile techniques. Their role as a primary barrier against accumulated dirt and body odor continued. You can feel the rough, unassuming texture of such a makeshift screen, offering a humble degree of visual, if not auditory, privacy from other household members, a small shield against the shared existence. Here, a small, perhaps rudimentary wooden bucket of water, painstakingly drawn from a communal well, and a worn but clean cloth would suffice for their daily ablutions. A simple yet vital toolkit, the very act of having a designated space, however basic, impermanent, or visually unappealing, marked a profound departure from the more communal or opportunistic washing practices of earlier times, where washing might happen by a well, a swift-flowing stream, or openly in a shared room with little thought for individual modesty. It implied a growing valuing of personal space and a burgeoning desire for individual, rather than collective, hygiene rituals. Even when resources were scarce, however, the concept of simply changing them for freshness was subtly complemented by the burgeoning idea of washing the body beneath. The increasing availability of finely woven linens and eventually lighter, more breathable cottons, which were far more comfortable against the skin than heavy scratchy wools, encouraged more direct skin contact and, by extension, a desire for cleaner, fresher skin underneath. You can feel the soft, cool touch of a newly laundered linen shirt against your skin, a comforting and profoundly refreshing sensation after a day's work, a small luxury that was increasingly within reach. This interplay between readily available cleaner innerwear and the increasing practice of personal washing created a powerful feedback loop. Cleaner undergarments made the skin feel cleaner, which in turn encouraged more frequent, if still partial, washing of the body and moving slowly towards the full-body immersion that would become commonplace in later eras. This was a gradual, holistic transformation, where one change subtly reinforced another. This slow, deliberate emergence of private spaces for personal care, coupled with the evolving perceptions of water's role and the changing nature of clothing, marked a quiet but profound transformation in the daily lives of people. It was a decisive step away from purely functional, communal hygiene towards a more personal, sensory, and increasingly private understanding of cleanliness, laying crucial groundwork for the massive public health and personal hygiene developments of the centuries to come, as you allow these intricate details to settle within your mind. Feel the gentle, unstoppable progression of time, each subtle shift guiding you deeper into a state of profound relaxation and peaceful repose. As you continue to float, your awareness now poised on the very cusp of truly significant historical change. Let's gently bridge the vast gap between these evolving medieval practices and the definitive dawn of what we recognize today as modern hygiene. This was not just another subtle shift, another slow evolution. It was a period of revolutionary scientific breakthroughs, unprecedented technological advancements, and profound social transformations that utterly redefined and fundamentally transformed the understanding and practice of personal cleanliness. Moving decisively from centuries of superstition, traditional folk remedies, and abstract theories to the rigorous application of science, from intuitive guesswork to verifiable empirical evidence. Feel the subtle yet undeniable acceleration of time, almost like a gentle current picking up speed and momentum. As we approach this pivotal, transformative era that shaped our contemporary world, the most monumental breakthrough, the true, undeniable game-changer that irrevocably reshaped the world, was the development and widespread acceptance of germ theory in the 19th century. Imagine a world where the insidious, unseen microscopic organisms, invisible to the naked eye and previously unknown, were suddenly revealed as the true, verifiable culprits behind disease and infection, rather than nebulous miasmas, the foul-smelling airs, or the abstract imbalances of bodily humors. This was a paradigm shift of seismic proportions, overturning millennia of medical thought, superstitions, and unchallenged doctrines. Visionary scientists like Louis Pasteur, working with meticulous precision and groundbreaking experimental design, and Robert Koch, through painstaking observation, rigorous experimentation, and the development of new laboratory techniques, irrevocably demonstrated the existence of bacteria and their direct, undeniable role in causing infection and illness. You can almost visualize the focused intensity in their eyes as they peered through early, rudimentary microscopes, their breath perhaps fogging the lenses, witnessing for the very first time a hidden, vibrant world teeming with microscopic life, both beneficial and harmful. This astonishing scientific revelation fundamentally and irrevocably reshaped how people viewed water, how they understood dirt, and how they perceived the very transmission of disease. Water was no longer feared for simply opening pores, but deeply respected as a medium that could be either purely life-giving or dangerously contaminated by unseen agents. Dirt was no longer just an aesthetic concern or a superficial annoyance, something to be merely brushed away, but a dangerous harbinger of unseen, deadly pathogens that threatened life itself. This new rational understanding created a compelling and urgent imperative for cleanliness, rooted in survival. This groundbreaking scientific understanding directly, logically, and rapidly led to the widespread adoption of regular full-body bathing and the revolutionary development of modern plumbing and sanitation systems. With germ theory firmly established as scientific fact, the act of washing away microbes and pathogens became not just a personal preference or a sign of status, but a crucial, scientifically backed defense against illness, a rational, life-saving practice rooted in verifiable fact. The concurrent development of affordable, mass-produced soap, made possible by innovative new chemical processes and industrial manufacturing techniques, also played an absolutely vital, foundational role, transforming soap from a scarce luxury item accessible only to the wealthy elite into an everyday necessity readily available to the common household. Feel the smooth, abundant, and fragrant lather of modern soap on your skin, a luxurious and deeply satisfying sensation. a stark and undeniable contrast to the harsh, crude, and limited soaps of earlier times, a tactile representation of progress. The 19th and early 20th centuries also witnessed the vigorous rise of powerful public health movements and widespread systematic education on hygiene. Governments, civic leaders, and medical professionals actively, almost evangelically, promoted cleanliness as a civic duty, a moral imperative, and an indispensable cornerstone of national health and prosperity. This transformative era cemented the powerful idea that personal hygiene was not just about individual comfort or private preference, but a collective responsibility, a vital contribution to the overall well-being of the entire community and nation, fostering a new societal consciousness. Yet, even as we revel in the unprecedented comforts, the profound conveniences, and the life-saving benefits of modern hygiene, it's worth reflecting on the enduring, timeless connections between our present practices and the long, rich history we've so gently explored. While our methods, technologies, and scientific understandings have evolved dramatically, transforming the very fabric of daily life, the underlying human desire for comfort, for freedom from discomfort, for a sense of physical and spiritual freshness, remains constant and deeply ingrained in the human experience. The medieval people, with their ingenious dry rubs, their reliance on clean linens, and their carefully chosen herbal scents, were, at their core, striving for the very same fundamental sense of well-being, the same personal dignity that we seek with our daily showers, our sophisticated shampoos, and our fragranced soaps. Their remarkable ingenuity in adapting to the severe limitations of their environment, their profound resourcefulness in the face of daunting challenges, and their persistent quest for cleanliness, however rudimentary, offers a timeless and invaluable lesson in human resilience, creativity, and the enduring human spirit. You can almost feel a gentle, luminous bridge connecting these two distant eras, a shared, universal human need for cleanliness, expressed and achieved in vastly, yet beautifully different ways across the tapestry of time, a continuous thread weaving through human history as you continue your gentle descent through the quiet corridors of history, your mind now serenely accepting of the vast passage of time. Allow your awareness to settle upon another powerful force that profoundly, irrevocably reshaped the landscape of personal hygiene, the unrelenting tide of urbanization and the dazzling pace of technological innovation. These were not subtle, gradual shifts that quietly unfolded over generations, but rather monumental forces, acting in concert, that utterly transformed daily life, bringing both unprecedented challenges and ingenious, often revolutionary solutions to the age-old human quest for cleanliness and comfort. Feel the subtle yet undeniable hum of progress, a quiet acceleration in the very fabric of existence, as we move ever closer to the familiar contours of the modern world we inhabit today. With the advent of the Industrial Revolution, the tranquil, largely agrarian landscapes that had defined centuries of human habitation began to give way to sprawling, densely populated towns and cities. People, drawn by the irresistible promise of work in burgeoning factories and the vibrant pulse of burgeoning commerce, migrated en masse from quiet rural areas, congregating in unprecedented numbers within confined urban spaces. Imagine the narrow, winding streets you've previously envisioned, now teeming with far more people, the constant presence of more animals, an overwhelming volume of more refuse, and the ceaseless din of human activity, echoing between tightly packed buildings. This rapid influx of population, coupled with rudimentary, often non-existent public infrastructure, led to unparalleled challenges in maintaining even a basic semblance of public and personal cleanliness. The communal wells became severely overtaxed, often contaminated, while rivers, once sources of life, rapidly turned into open sewers, and the sheer volume of human and animal waste reached critical, unbearable levels, creating truly noxious environments that were ripe breeding grounds for disease. You can almost feel the thick, oppressive air of a crowded 19th century tenement, heavy with the commingled scents of coal smoke, unwashed bodies, decaying refuse, and stagnant water. A stark, almost unimaginable contrast to the open fields and fresh, clean air of the countryside. This intense concentration of people made the traditional, localized hygiene practices utterly inadequate and necessitated entirely new, large-scale, and scientifically driven approaches. It was precisely this dire, undeniable urban crisis, this overwhelming necessity born of widespread suffering that became the powerful crucible for transformative technological innovations in water supply, sewerage, and comprehensive waste management. The sheer urgency of preventing widespread epidemics like the devastating cholera outbreaks that frequently swept through European cities. Decimating populations spurred visionary engineers, pioneering scientists, and tireless public health reformers to conceive of and implement ambitious, large-scale, and often remarkably complex solutions. Imagine the monumental effort involved, the arduous laying of vast networks of underground pipes designed to deliver clean, potable water from distant, pristine sources directly into homes and conveniently located public fountains. You can almost hear the steady, reassuring gurgle of clean water flowing through newly installed iron pipes beneath the city streets, a sound of unprecedented progress and vital relief. Concurrently, elaborate sewerage systems were meticulously engineered and constructed, vast subterranean labyrinths designed to efficiently carry away wastewater and human effluent, diverting it far from residential areas and, critically, from communal water sources. Feel the cool, damp air of newly dug tunnels as countless laborers toiled in challenging conditions, building these unseen arteries of public health that would underpin modern urban life. This was not just about convenience, it was a matter of life and death, a fundamental reshaping of the urban environment to make it survivable and, eventually, thriving, fostering health and prosperity. Early municipal reports from cities like London and Paris meticulously detail the staggering costs and immense logistical challenges of these unprecedented projects, unequivocally underscoring their revolutionary and transformative impact on societal well-being. Beyond these grand, often invisible engineering feats, smaller yet equally impactful, domestic innovations began to permeate the everyday lives of ordinary people, slowly elevating their personal comfort and health. The development of the flush toilet, initially a luxury item for the very wealthy, gradually became more widespread and affordable, transforming the most intimate aspect of waste disposal from a communal outdoor necessity or reliance on chamber pots into a private, convenient, and sanitary indoor amenity. You can almost hear the distinct, satisfying flush of an early water closet, a sound that would have once seemed miraculous, symbolizing a new era of personal dignity. New designs for bathtubs and wash basins emerged, often made from more durable, easier to clean and aesthetically pleasing materials like gleaming cast iron or smooth porcelain, making full-body washing more practical, appealing, and accessible within the confines of the home. Feel the smooth, cool surface of a porcelain tub as you imagine filling it with warm water, its inviting warmth enveloping you. Moreover, the chemical advancements in the production of soap made it increasingly affordable, consistently effective, and widely available, moving far beyond rudimentary lye and animal fat concoctions to mass-produced bars with consistent cleansing properties and even pleasant manufactured fragrances. You can almost smell the clean, fresh scent of a newly unwrapped bar of manufactured soap, a simple luxury now available to countless households. These domestic innovations, while perhaps less dramatic in scale than vast public works, profoundly elevated the standard of personal hygiene in countless households, transforming daily rituals from arduous chores into more accessible, pleasant, and highly effective routines. This era of rapid urbanization and groundbreaking technological advancement marked a profound departure from the fragmented, often fear-driven and resource-limited hygiene practices of the past. It was a pivotal period where cutting-edge scientific understanding, formidable engineering prowess, and undeniable societal need converged, laying the indispensable groundwork for the pervasive, almost invisible infrastructure of cleanliness that defines our modern lives. As you allow these intricate details of human ingenuity and adaptation to settle within your thoughts, feel a profound sense of continuity, recognizing how the pressing challenges of the past forged the unparalleled comforts and unseen conveniences of the present. Let your breath deepen, your body relax, as you absorb this intricate tapestry of progress, drifting closer to a state of profound rest and inner peace. As you continue your tranquil journey through the unfolding narrative of human cleanliness, your mind now richly layered with insights from the past. Let your awareness gently pivot to explore another equally profound and equally impactful dimension of this historical transformation: the deep psychological and cultural shifts that accompanied the rise of modern hygiene, beyond the impressive pipes and the abundant soap, beyond the groundbreaking science and the complex infrastructure. A fundamental and deeply ingrained change occurred within the human psyche, a profound redefinition of what it truly meant to be clean, and how that cleanliness intricately connected to one's identity, one's perceived morality, and one's undeniable social standing. Feel the subtle shift in perception, a quiet reordering of values, as we approach the very attitudes and unspoken norms of our own time. The widespread adoption of modern hygiene practices fostered a powerful and pervasive new cultural emphasis on both the aesthetics and the morality of cleanliness. Cleanliness transitioned from merely a practical necessity or a simple sign of noble status to a pervasive social virtue, almost an undeniable moral imperative. To be clean was increasingly equated with being responsible, respectable, diligent, and even virtuous, reflecting inner purity. Conversely, visible dirt or a perceived lack of personal care could lead to immediate social stigma, subtly indicating laziness, entrenched poverty, or even a profound moral failing in the eyes of society. Imagine the subtle social judgments, the quiet glances exchanged or the hushed whispers in a bustling Victorian parlor, reflecting this powerful new ethos, where appearance held significant weight. This pervasive societal pressure, powerfully reinforced by widespread public health campaigns and targeted educational initiatives, created a powerful and constant incentive for individuals to conform to rising and increasingly stringent standards of personal hygiene. The very act of washing became imbued with a new, deeper meaning. It was not just about preventing disease, but fundamentally about presenting oneself acceptably to society, about embodying a certain social ideal of respectability and order. The popular proverb from the era, "Cleanliness is next to godliness," perfectly encapsulates this new, almost sacred and deeply ingrained connection between physical hygiene and perceived moral virtue. This profound psychological transformation also led to a deepening of personal autonomy and a newfound sense of empowering control over one's body and immediate environment. With increasingly accessible clean water, highly effective soap, and private washing spaces readily available, individuals gained an unprecedented ability to manage their own bodily cleanliness and personal presentation. This newfound personal agency, however subtle it might seem by modern standards, contributed significantly to a broader sense of self-mastery, personal dignity, and self-worth. You can feel the quiet satisfaction of stepping out of a refreshing bath, knowing you have personally achieved a state of purity and freshness through your own actions. This was a significant departure from reliance on external factors, communal arrangements, or the often arbitrary dictates of nature. Hygiene became a deeply personal act of self-care and self-determination, a quiet affirmation of one's agency. The shift from passive acceptance of pervasive odors and visible dirt to active, intentional engagement in their eradication marked a significant psychological empowerment for the individual, fostering a greater sense of personal well-being, confidence, and control over one's immediate surroundings. As we gently conclude this expansive historical journey, allow your thoughts to consider the future trajectory of cleanliness, a path that continues to unfold. While we undoubtedly stand at a pinnacle of hygiene that would have been utterly unimaginable to our ancestors, the quest for optimal well-being, for perfect sanitation, and for deeper understanding continues to relentlessly evolve. Emerging challenges, such as the pressing issue of antibiotic resistance, the growing environmental concerns related to unsustainable water consumption, and the increasing complexities of chemical exposure in daily products, continuously prompt us to rethink and refine our understanding of cleanliness. You can almost hear the soft, speculative hum of future innovations, whispers of new, sustainable materials, cutting-edge technologies, and more ecologically responsible practices. The very definition of clean might expand far beyond personal hygiene to encompass ecological responsibility, the delicate balance of the human microbiome, or even the purity and integrity of digital information. The journey of human cleanliness, therefore, is not a simple linear path with a fixed ultimate destination, but a continuous cyclical exploration, forever adapting to new scientific knowledge, new environmental realities, and new evolving societal values. Allow yourself to feel the profound cyclical nature of human adaptation, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of improvement. From the pragmatic dry rubs of medieval peasants to the intricate, hidden plumbing systems of modern cities, from the ancient fear of unseen miasmas to the precise, scientific understanding of microbes, humanity has consistently sought ways to navigate its environment, manage its bodily needs, and strive for health, comfort, and dignity. The quiet wisdom embedded in our ancestors' ingenious practices, born of sheer necessity and remarkable ingenuity, still resonates within our most advanced systems and our most intricate routines. Our present comforts and our high standards of cleanliness are built directly upon the countless layers of their struggles, their discoveries, and their enduring human spirit. You are a part of this vast unfolding story, a living bridge connecting the distant past with the ever-evolving future, a silent witness to humanity's ongoing quest for well-being. As your historical journey gently draws to a close, feel a profound sense of peace settling over your entire being. Your mind is calm, your thoughts quiet, your body deeply relaxed. You have explored the intricate tapestry of human cleanliness, recognizing the timeless threads that bind us across centuries and connect us to every generation that came before. Let this newfound wisdom cradle you, guiding you deeper into a peaceful and restorative sleep. All that remains now is the gentle ebb and flow of your breath and the comforting stillness of your mind, drifting, drifting, drifting into profound, unwavering rest as you continue to gently drift through the vast, intricate tapestry of human history. Your mind now serenely enriched by the unfolding narrative. Allow your awareness to settle upon another monumental aspect of cleanliness, its profound and often overlooked role in the shaping of public health and the very fabric of society itself. This was not merely about individual practices, about one person's daily routine. It was about collective action, a shared understanding that the health of one individual was intrinsically linked to the health of all, a grand interconnectedness. Feel the subtle yet immense power of collective change, a quiet, irresistible force that gradually propelled humanity forward, transforming communities. For much of human history, public health was a concept largely understood through the immediate, often terrifying lens of individual suffering and localized outbreaks. However, with the rapid and unprecedented rise of urban centers during the Industrial Revolution, the stark, unavoidable realities of overcrowded, unsanitary living conditions became undeniable, forcing a crucial societal reevaluation. The devastating plagues and recurrent epidemics of the past, such as the horrifying Black Death, which systematically ravaged medieval Europe, wiping out vast swathes of the population, or the more localized yet equally terrifying cholera outbreaks of the 19th century that swept through burgeoning cities, served as brutal, undeniable teachers. They hammered home the visceral, painful lesson that disease was not simply a personal misfortune or an act of divine retribution, but a societal threat, spreading indiscriminately through contaminated water sources, teeming piles of refuse, and unmanaged human waste. You can almost feel the chilling fear that permeated entire communities when sickness struck. The desperation for understanding and, more importantly, for control over an unseen enemy. This collective trauma, though harrowing in its scope, became a powerful and enduring catalyst for profound change, forcing communities to look far beyond individual remedies and embrace systemic, wide-reaching solutions. This powerful collective realization, born from necessity and suffering, sparked the true birth of formal public health initiatives and specialized governmental bodies. Imagine visionary individuals, often pioneering doctors, innovative engineers, and tireless social reformers, advocating with unwavering conviction for radical and often unpopular changes, facing skepticism, resistance, and entrenched traditions. These early public health pioneers recognized with stark clarity that broad-on systemic interventions were absolutely necessary to protect entire populations from the ravages of preventable diseases. This urgent recognition led directly to the establishment of municipal boards of health, dedicated sanitation departments, and the promulgation of comprehensive public health laws and ordinances, designed to regulate cleanliness on an unprecedented scale. A pioneering public health report from mid-19th century London, for instance, might detail, with grim and undeniable statistics, the direct correlation between access to clean piped water and dramatically reduced mortality rates from waterborne diseases, illustrating the irrefutable scientific foundation of these new policies. These monumental efforts were not just about cleaning up visible dirt or aesthetic improvements. They were fundamentally about understanding and managing the unseen threats of disease on a grand societal scale, transforming the very environment of human habitation. You can almost sense the slow, methodical churn of bureaucracy as new regulations were meticulously drafted and painstakingly implemented. Tiny, incremental steps building towards profound, overarching societal well-being. The pervasive and systematic implementation of these public health measures had a truly transformative impact on the overall quality of life and, most dramatically, on life expectancy. As clean water became more accessible through vast pipe networks, as waste was properly managed and removed from living spaces, and as hygiene education systematically spread throughout communities, infectious diseases that had once decimated populations with terrifying regularity began to subtly, then dramatically, recede, Imagine the palpable collective relief in a city where cholera no longer swept through the streets like a grim reaper, claiming thousands of lives, or where typhoid fever became a rare occurrence rather than a constant looming threat. The very air felt cleaner, the water tasted purer, and the subtle, pervasive fear of sudden, inexplicable illness began to profoundly diminish, replaced by a growing sense of security. Children, no longer succumbing to common waterborne diseases in infancy, lived longer, healthier lives, contributing to a more robust, productive, and optimistic society. This monumental demographic shift was perhaps the greatest, most tangible legacy of the hygiene revolution, directly contributing to the exponential growth in human population and the unprecedented prosperity that characterizes the modern era. You can almost feel the collective sigh of relief, the growing sense of security and optimism, as communities began to overcome the invisible, insidious threats that had plagued them for centuries. This was the silent victory of science and sustained collective action. Yet, as we reflect on this triumphant journey through public health history, it's crucial to acknowledge that the pursuit of public health through improved hygiene is an ongoing, dynamic process, never truly complete, always evolving. New challenges constantly emerge from global pandemics and rapidly evolving pathogens that defy easy solutions, to widespread environmental pollution and the intricate complexities of waste disposal in an ever more populous and consumer-driven world. The profound lessons of the past remain vitally important: vigilance, rigorous scientific inquiry, and an unwavering commitment to collective responsibility are as crucial today as they were when the first public health pioneers began their arduous work. The delicate and ever-present balance between individual freedom and overarching societal well-being continues to be negotiated in new ways, reminding us that hygiene is not just a personal habit, but a fundamental communal commitment, a shared responsibility for a healthier future. As you allow these profound historical insights to settle gently within your mind, feel the deep, comforting interconnectedness of human experience across time, a continuous flow of shared challenges and enduring solutions. Let your breath deepen, your body relax, as you absorb this intricate tapestry of progress, drifting closer to a state of profound rest, as your historical journey through the multifaceted world of cleanliness gently draws to its close. Your mind now filled with a rich, nuanced understanding of humanity's long and often challenging pursuit of hygiene. Let your awareness settle upon the enduring legacy of the past and your own intrinsic connection to this remarkable, ongoing story. This narrative is not merely a collection of dusty historical facts, isolated and distant. It is a profound reflection of universal human ingenuity, remarkable adaptation, and our timeless quest for fundamental health, undeniable comfort, and profound personal dignity. Feel the quiet resonance of history within you, a subtle hum of recognition connecting your present experience to all who came before, a tangible link across the ages. Consider for a moment the profound, pervasive impact of cleanliness on human dignity and overall quality of life. Beyond the crucial prevention of disease and the extension of lifespans, the evolution of hygiene practices has profoundly, fundamentally enhanced our daily experience, fostering an undeniable sense of comfort, personal confidence, and deep self-respect. Imagine the feeling of stepping into a warm, steaming shower after a long, arduous day, the soothing cascade of water washing away not only fatigue and physical grime, but also the worries and stresses of the day, leaving you feeling utterly refreshed, renewed, and revitalized. This seemingly simple act, so commonplace and unremarkable today, is a direct and profound inheritance from centuries of innovation and changing attitudes. It frees us from the constant physical discomfort and social anxieties that once defined life for so many, allowing us to focus on higher pursuits, on connection, on creativity, the sheer ease with which you can access clean water, effective cleaning agents, and private sanitary facilities is a testament to the cumulative efforts of countless individuals across millennia, from the Roman engineers who built aqueducts, to the medieval herbalists who sought fragrant remedies, to the Victorian scientists who uncovered germ theory. You are a direct beneficiary of this immense historical tapestry of effort and discovery. The story of hygiene is, in essence, a profound microcosm of the larger human journey of continuous improvement, relentless adaptation, and unwavering progress. It powerfully demonstrates humanity's remarkable innate capacity to learn critically from past experience, to ingeniously overcome formidable obstacles, and to continually strive for a better, healthier, and more comfortable way of living. From the earliest communal bathing rituals, perhaps driven by simple practical necessity and shared warmth, to the highly individualized, scientifically informed, and technologically advanced practices of today, each era has meticulously built upon the knowledge, the insights, and the often hard-won lessons of its predecessors, refining, innovating, and courageously pushing the boundaries of what is possible in the pursuit of cleanliness. You can almost see the shimmering thread of human ingenuity stretching unbroken across time, a continuous line connecting rudimentary tools and ancient methods to complex modern systems and futuristic solutions. This remarkable journey reminds us that genuine progress is often slow, incremental, and born from both profound crisis and insatiable curiosity. But it is an undeniable, constant, and powerful force in human civilization, a testament to our enduring spirit as we reach the very end of this tranquil historical exploration. Allow yourself to fully embody and deeply appreciate your place within this ongoing historical narrative. You are not merely a passive observer of the past, detached and distant. You are a living, breathing part of its enduring legacy. Every time you wash your hands, take a refreshing bath, or simply appreciate the clean air you breathe and the pure water you drink, you are participating in a timeless ritual, directly benefiting from centuries of human struggle, ingenious discovery, and relentless innovation. Your comfort, your health, and your fundamental understanding of the world are inextricably linked to the distant echoes of history, to the countless hands that shaped the very environment you inhabit. This profound awareness can bring a powerful and comforting sense of gratitude and deep connection, a quiet recognition of your shared humanity across the ages, a bond that transcends time. Allow this entire journey from the earliest, intuitive understanding of purity to the complex, modern science of hygiene to settle deeply, gently, and peacefully within you. Your mind is utterly calm, your thoughts quiet and unburdened, your body profoundly relaxed, sinking deeper with each passing moment. You have explored the intricate, beautiful tapestry of human cleanliness, recognizing the timeless threads that bind us across centuries and connect us intimately to every generation that came before. Let this newfound wisdom cradle you, a soft, warm embrace, guiding you deeper into a peaceful and restorative sleep. All that remains now is the gentle, rhythmic ebb and flow of your breath, and the comforting stillness of your mind, drifting, drifting, drifting into profound, unwavering, and utterly tranquil rest.